December 1969. A homeless man sits on a park bench in Los Angeles. He has no home, no family, no reason to believe tomorrow will be any different than today. In his pocket, a crumpled piece of paper. On that paper, a letter he wrote to the only person he thought might understand him, John Wayne. He doesn't expect a response. He's nobody, just another forgotten face in a city full of forgotten faces. He mails the letter anyway. No return address, no hope, just words from a man who has nothing left to lose. 3 weeks later, something impossible happens. A black car pulls up to the shelter where he sleeps. A man steps out, not a social worker, not a police officer. The man who steps out is John Wayne himself. What happens next will change this homeless man's life forever. But there's something else. Something John Wayne did that day that no one knew about for almost 30 years. A secret he took to his grave. A secret that proves everything we thought we knew about Hollywood's toughest cowboy was wrong. Here is the story. But before we continue, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your location in the comments. Let's see which city has the most fans of the Duke. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what John Wayne did next. Because trust me, you won't believe it. The letter arrives on a Thursday morning. John Wayne's office in Hollywood receives hundreds of letters every week. Fan mail, business proposals, scripts, requests for autographs. Most get sorted by assistants, answered with form letters, signed photos, the usual routine. But this one is different. The envelope is dirty, wrinkled, no return address. The handwriting is shaky, barely legible. Inside, a single page torn from a notebook. The paper smells like cigarette smoke and rain. Wayne's assistant almost throws it away. But something makes her stop. She reads the first line and walks it straight to Wayne's desk. The letter begins simply. Dear Mr. Wayne, you don't know me. Nobody does. I'm writing this from a shelter in Los Angeles. I have nothing. No job. No family. No reason to wake up tomorrow. But I watch your movies whenever I can. And when I see you on that screen, I remember what it felt like to believe in something. Wayne reads that line again, sets down his coffee. The letter continues. I was a soldier once. I fought for this country. I believed in the things you talk about in your films. Honor, courage, standing up for what's right. But somewhere along the way, I lost everything. My wife left. My son won't speak to me. I live on the streets now. Most days, I don't know why I'm still here. Wayne's jaw tightens. He keeps reading. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to write to someone who might understand. Your movies remind me that maybe America hasn't forgotten men like me. Maybe I still matter, even if it doesn't feel like it. The letter is signed with one name. No last name. Just Frank. Wayne folds the letter carefully, places it in his desk drawer, sits there in silence for a long time. His assistant asks if everything is okay. Wayne doesn't answer. He just stares out the window, thinking about a man named Frank who has nothing left except a torn piece of notebook paper and a movie star's name. But Wayne isn't just thinking. He's deciding something. Something that will shock everyone around him. It's December 18th, 1969. John Wayne is 62 years old. He's made over 150 films, won an Academy Award, become the biggest movie star in America. He's met presidents, shaken hands with generals, dined with royalty. But right now, none of that matters. Right now, he's thinking about Frank, a homeless veteran sleeping in a shelter, a man who fought for his country and got forgotten, a man who wrote a letter not asking for money or fame, just asking to be seen, just asking if he still mattered. Wayne picks up the phone, calls his assistant. Find him. She pauses. Find who, Duke? The man who wrote this letter. Frank. He's at a shelter somewhere in Los Angeles. Find out which one. His assistant hesitates. Duke, there are dozens of shelters in Los Angeles. We don't even have a last name. This could take days. Wayne doesn't blink. Then start now. For the next 48 hours, Wayne's team makes phone calls, contacts shelters across the city, describes the letter, Asks about a veteran named Frank. No last name. Probably in his 50s. Might have served in Korea. Most shelters have no record. Some hang up. Others promise to check and never call back. Then on the third day, a call comes in. A small shelter near downtown. They have a man named Frank. Korean War veteran. Fits the description. He's been staying there for 2 months. Wayne writes down the address. His assistant asks what he wants to do. Send money? A signed photo? A letter? Wayne shakes his head. No, I'm going myself. She stares at him. Dupe, you can't be serious. You're John Wayne. You can't just walk into a homeless shelter. Wayne stands up, grabs his coat. Watch me. He doesn't call the press. Doesn't bring photographers. Doesn't tell his publicist. He just gets in his car and drives. Alone. Toward a shelter on the other side of the city. Toward a man the world forgot. Toward a moment that will stay buried for almost 30 years. But what happens when John Wayne walks through those doors? What does he say to a man who has nothing? And what does he do that no Hollywood star would ever do today? Before we get there, tell me something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your city in the comments. Let's see where the Duke's biggest fans are. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Because what happens next will change everything you think you know about John Wayne. The shelter is small. A gray building on a quiet street. No sign out front. Just a wooden door and a few windows covered with old curtains. Wayne parks his car across the street. Sits there for a moment. Looks at the building. He's walked onto 100 movie sets. Faced down outlaws and villains on screen. But this is different. This is real. He steps out of the car. Walks across the street. Pushes open the door. Inside, the room is dim. A few plastic chairs. A long table with coffee cups. The smell of soup and cleaning supplies. About a dozen men sit scattered around the room. Some sleeping. Some staring at nothing. All of them broken in ways the world doesn't see. A woman at the front desk looks up. Her eyes go wide. She opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. Wayne speaks first. I'm looking for a man named Frank. I believe he stays here. The woman can't move. She just points toward the back of the room. Wayne turns. Sees him. Frank is sitting alone by the window. Thin. Gray hair. Worn jacket. His hands are wrapped around a paper cup of coffee. He's staring outside at nothing in particular. Wayne walks over. His boots echo on the floor. Every man in the room watches him. Nobody speaks. He stops in front of Frank's table. Frank doesn't look up at first. Just keeps staring at his coffee. Mind if I sit down? Frank looks up. His face goes pale. His hands start shaking. The coffee spills a little. He opens his mouth, but no words come out. Wayne pulls out a chair. Sits down across from him. Eye level. Like two old friends. You wrote me a letter, Frank. Frank's eyes fill with tears. He tries to speak, but his voice cracks. Finally, he manages a whisper. You read it. Wayne nods slowly. Every word. Frank looks down. Ashamed. I didn't think anyone would read it. I didn't think anyone cared. Wayne leans forward. His voice is low. Steady. I care. For the next 3 hours, they talk. Wayne doesn't check his watch. Doesn't take phone calls. Doesn't look at the door. He just listens. Frank tells him everything. About Korea. About the things he saw. About coming home to a country that didn't want to hear about it. About his wife leaving. About his son walking away. About losing his job. Then his apartment. Then his hope. Wayne listens. Really listens. Not like a movie star doing charity. Like a man who understands. When Frank finishes, he wipes his eyes. I'm sorry. You didn't come here to hear all this. Wayne shakes his head. That's exactly why I came. Frank looks at him. Confused. Why? Why me? I'm nobody. I'm nothing. The room goes quiet. The other men in the shelter have gathered closer. All of them watching. All of them waiting for the answer. Wayne leans in. Looks Frank straight in the eyes. And what he says next will become the most important words Frank ever hears. But before we hear those words, I need you to understand something. What John Wayne does next isn't just kindness. It isn't just charity. It's something deeper, something no Hollywood star today would ever do. And it's the reason this story stayed hidden for almost 30 years. Wayne doesn't look away. His eyes stay locked on Frank's. When he speaks, his voice is steady. No performance. No script. Just truth. You're not nobody, Frank. Don't ever say that again. Frank shakes his head. Look at me. I've got nothing. No home. No family. No future. I'm a ghost. The world walked right past me and never looked back. Wayne leans closer. The world might have walked past you, but I didn't. I'm sitting right here, and I'm telling you something I need you to hear. Frank's hands are trembling. His eyes are red. Wayne continues. You fought for this country. You wore the uniform. You stood on the line when it mattered. That means something. That will always mean something. No matter what happened after. No matter what you lost. You are an American, and that means you matter. Frank breaks. The tears come fast. He covers his face with his hands. His shoulders shake. Years of pain pouring out in that small room. Wayne reaches across the table, puts his hand on Frank's shoulder, doesn't say anything, just lets him cry. When Frank finally looks up, Wayne speaks again. You're not done, Frank. You hear me? Your story isn't over. You've got more to give, and I'm going to make sure you get the chance to give it. Frank wipes his face. What do you mean? Wayne reaches into his coat pocket, pulls out an envelope, sets it on the table. There's enough in there to get you back on your feet. An apartment, clothes, food, whatever you need. And there's a phone number inside. A man named Bill. He runs a company that hires veterans. I already talked to him. He's expecting your call. Frank stares at the envelope. Can't move. Can't speak. Wayne stands up, looks down at Frank one last time. When you get back up, and you will get back up, I want you to do something for me. Find another man like yourself. Someone who thinks he's nobody. And you tell him what I told you. You tell him he matters. That's how we keep this country strong. We lift each other up. Understood? Frank nods. His voice is barely a whisper. Yes, sir. Wayne shakes his hand, holds it firm, then turns and walks out of the shelter. No cameras, no reporters, no headlines. Just a man who did what he believed was right. But here's what nobody knew. That envelope wasn't the only thing John Wayne left behind that day. There was something else. Something he made Frank promise never to tell anyone. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city in the comments. And if this story is hitting you in the heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because what comes next is the part of the story that changes everything. Frank makes the call. 3 days later, he has a job. 2 weeks later, he has an apartment. A small place. Nothing fancy, but it's his. For the first time in years, he has a door to lock, a bed to sleep in, a reason to wake up. He works hard, shows up early, stays late. The other workers don't know his story. They just see a quiet man who never complains, a man who does his job and goes home. But Frank doesn't forget. Every month, he goes back to that shelter, not to stay, to visit. He sits with the men there, listens to their stories, tells them what John Wayne told him. You matter. You're not nobody. Your story isn't over. Some of them listen. Some of them don't. But Frank keeps showing up, year after year, decade after decade. In 1998, almost 30 years after that day, a local newspaper runs a small story about volunteers helping homeless veterans in Los Angeles. Frank is one of them. The reporter asks him why he does it, why he spent 3 decades giving back. Frank tells the truth. For the first time ever, he tells the story of the letter, the shelter, the day John Wayne walked through those doors, the envelope, the job, the promise. The reporter can't believe it, asks Frank why he waited so long to tell anyone. Frank smiles. Because Duke asked me not to. He said it wasn't about him. It was about the lesson, about lifting each other up. He didn't want credit. He wanted change. The article runs once. Small newspaper. Small circulation. Most people never see it. But the people who needed to see it did. Veterans across the city. Men who thought nobody remembered them. Men who needed to know that once, a long time ago, A movie star proved that somebody cared. Frank passed away in 2004. He was 78 years old. He spent his final years in a small house near the ocean, a home he bought with money he earned, a life he rebuilt with his own two hands. When his family cleaned out his belongings, they found something in his closet, a wooden box. Inside the box, two items. The first was the original letter Frank wrote to John Wayne in 1969. Torn notebook paper, faded ink, the words of a man who had nothing. The second was a letter from John Wayne himself, handwritten, dated the same day they met at the shelter. Frank had kept it hidden for 35 years. The letter was short, just a few lines, but those lines said everything. Frank, you asked me why I came. The truth is, your letter saved me too. I've spent my whole life playing heroes on screen, but you reminded me what a real hero looks like. A man who falls down and still finds the strength to write a letter. That's courage. That's America. Don't ever forget what you are. Your friend, Duke. Frank never showed that letter to anyone. He kept his promise. Until the very end. His family donated both letters to a museum in Los Angeles. Not the John Wayne Museum, a veterans museum, because this story was never about a movie star. It was about two men who reminded each other what it means to be human. And that's the lesson John Wayne left behind. Not on a screen, not in a script, in a shelter, in a handshake, in a letter that stayed hidden for 35 years. They don't make men like John Wayne anymore. But maybe, if we remember stories like this one, we can try. If this story touched your heart, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you want more stories about legends who changed lives when nobody was watching, hit that subscribe button right now, because the next story might be the one that changes yours.